From the ashes of exile to the frozen shores of Greenland, Erik the Red's story is one of fire, fury, and redemption. A man driven by ambition, haunted by his past, and determined to carve a new destiny in the harshest of lands. This is the saga of Erik the Red, a Viking's journey through fire and ice. Prologue: The Spark of Fire. In the frozen fjords of Norway, where the wind howled like a wolf and the sea roared with fury, a boy was born under a stormy sky. His name was Erik Thorvaldsson, but the world would remember him as Erik the Red, not for the color of his hair, but for the fire that burned in his soul. A fire that would light the way to uncharted lands, but also consume everything in its path. Chapter 1: The Weight of Exile. Erik's life was marked by blood and exile from the very beginning. His father, Thorvald Asvaldsson, was a man of violence, and when he was banished from Norway for killing a man, young Erik followed him to Iceland. But Iceland was no sanctuary. The land was harsh, the people fiercer, and Erik's temper matched them all. One fateful day, a dispute over a borrowed shovel turned deadly. Erik's neighbor had refused to return it, and in a fit of rage, Erik killed him. The feud escalated, and soon Erik found himself standing over the bodies of his enemies, his hands stained with blood. The law declared him an outlaw, banished from Iceland for 3 years. His wife, Theodhild, wept as he packed his belongings, and his children clung to him, begging him not to go. But Erik had no choice. The fire within him had burned too brightly, and now it had scorched everything he loved. Chapter 2: Into the Frozen Unknown. With nothing but a ship, a handful of loyal men, and the clothes on his back, Erik set sail into the unknown. The North Atlantic was a merciless foe, its waves towering like mountains, and its winds biting like wolves. For weeks, Erik and his crew battled the elements, their ship tossed like a leaf in a storm. Many wondered if they would ever see land again. Then, one morning, through the mist and ice, they saw it a vast, frozen wilderness. Glaciers loomed like giants, and the land stretched endlessly, barren and unforgiving. But Erik was not a man to be deterred. He had lost everything, and in this icy wasteland he saw a chance to start anew. He named the land Greenland, not because it was green, but because he knew that men would follow hope, even if it was a lie. Chapter 3: The Price of Survival. For 3 long years Erik explored Greenland, mapping its fjords and valleys, searching for a place where life could take root. The winters were brutal, the nights endless, and the loneliness unbearable. But Erik endured, driven by the fire within him. He found a sliver of land in the southwest, where the grass grew green and the waters teemed with fish. It was here, in the shadow of glaciers, that Erik decided to build his new home. When his exile ended, Erik returned to Iceland, not as an outlaw, but as a man with a vision. He spoke of Greenland with such passion and conviction that hundreds of Icelanders, farmers, warriors, and families agreed to follow him into the unknown. But the journey was treacherous. Of the 25 ships that set sail, only 14 reached Greenland. The rest were swallowed by the sea, their screams lost in the wind. Chapter 4: A Kingdom of Ice. In Greenland, Erik built his kingdom. He became the chieftain of the eastern settlement, ruling over his people with a firm hand and a fierce heart. But the land was unforgiving. Winters were long and cruel, and the settlers lived on the edge of survival. Yet Erik's fire kept them going. He was their leader, their protector, and their hope. But even as Erik thrived, the past haunted him. His son, Leif Erikson, grew up hearing tales of the old world of Norway, Iceland, and the blood that had been spilled. Leif dreamed of lands beyond the horizon, and one day he set sail to find them. Erik watched his son go, pride and fear warring in his heart. He had built a new world, but he could not escape the one he had left behind. Epilogue: The fire fades. Erik the Red died in Greenland, an old man with a lifetime of scars. The land he had named, the kingdom he had built, would endure for centuries, but Erik's fire had burned out. His legacy lived on in his children, especially Leif, who would discover Vinland, the new world, and carve his own name into history. But Erik's story is not just one of exploration and conquest. It is a story of a man who rose from the ashes of his mistakes, who turned exile into opportunity, and who carried the weight of his past even as he forged a new future. It is a story of fire and ice, of triumph and tragedy, and of the unyielding spirit of a Viking.